You are listening to the Add Water and Stir podcast, where we have candid conversations about fostering, adopting, and parenting children of color. I am adoptive Black mom of the blog of the same name, and
I'm Mimi, formerly of the blog Mimi Robinson Online. Well, I haven't written in so long.
We'll have to catch up on that later.
I know, exactly. Another podcast. But hey, everybody. Welcome back.
Hey.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, Mimi. Yay.
It's good. We haven't done this in like forever.
A long time. So it's good to be back.
So what we doing today?
That they miss us. All right. So we are resuming our special series on the show This Is Us tonight. So if you are new to our show, please check out all of our previous episodes on our website, www.addwaterandstirpodcast.com. Or, of course, you can find us on iTunes or Stitcher or your favorite podcast app. So you've tuned in to our special series on the show, This Is Us on NBC. Tonight, we are talking about the season 2 premiere, which is called A Father's Advice.
Not so great. Did you like that title? Boo.
No, I'm going to just say that maybe I need to watch season 2 episode 2 to figure out why the title.
Wait, you know what? It's because
Father's Advice.
Because I think that was the name of William's poem.
Oh, right. There you go. All right. So as we get into the episode, Randall has announced that he wants to adopt, and he's kind of pushing his wife, Beth, into this process. Kevin and Kate. Kevin still got issues. Kate got issues, but she got her boo. She's with Toby, who's looking pretty good this season. He's still supportive the whole bit. She decides she wants to be a singer. We have a lot of flashbacks, as is common with this show. We learn that Jack, their father, is still struggling with his issues around alcohol addiction. He and Rebecca have separated. They announced that they are separating to the kids. The kids are pretty upset. He moves in with his friend Miguel, side eye. And the show really kind of ends with us seeing some worse foreshadowing about how Jack dies. And the latest clue that we get is a burned out house, presumably their house. We know that Jack is gone because Rebecca has his wedding ring and personal effects. And that's kind of the quick and dirty gist of what happened this week. Anything you want to highlight? Yeah.
So in the past, we have gone through story by story in order of interest. So how do you have the stories ordered today?
So the order of interest is least interesting
the most
interesting. So I have them ranked Kate and Toby as least, Kevin one half rung above them, Jack and Rebecca, and Randall and Beth, which I think is typical of the way that I have historically ranked them. Usually Kevin, Kate, and Toby are fighting for the bottom. So
which means we could just eliminate them like GE. The lowest 10%. But okay, so I agree with you, but I actually had Kate and Toby and Kevin all together, like their whole storyline mixed together for me. So okay, so let's break it down by storyline. Okay. So Kate's going to an audition, which that was a big jump because in the last episode she said she wanted to sing and now she's going to audition.
I was like, is this what we're doing now? Like, oh, we just go on auditions?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Obviously. So, she's been doing her karaoke, so she's good. So anyway, Kate and Toby are, chilling. It's her birthday. And Kate comes out in her audition outfit, which you liked it.
I want a fascinator. Yeah, I do. Yeah. I was here for it.
I thought she had a lot of accessories on. there are a lot of things happening. She had a fascinator. She had a big chunky jewelry. She had like some kind of sweater coat thingy. Afghan. I don't know. It's too many things happening. And so anyway, Toby was like, yeah, you look great. And Kevin came over, and Kevin was,
Toby doesn't care.
yes.
Toby was like, hey, he loves him some her. She was like, look, I lost 20 pounds. It was like, oh.
Yeah, Toby loves him.
Apparently she put them all on with accessories.
Yes, exactly. Girl, you messing up. I think she had bracelets on. It's just too much. Kevin came over. Happy birthday, everybody. He's excited. Anyway, we skip. Kate goes to audition. She runs out because all the girls are a size 2 and she's not. And that kind of gives her flashbacks to the swimming pool from season 1, where the little girls will make fun of her at the swimming pool. So she leaves, runs out. Toby asks about the audition, and Kate doesn't tell him that she left. Kevin takes them to a restaurant. Like, this whole thing, I'm tired of talking about it, actually.
We just started.
I'm like, who cares? Anyway, point is, Toby got mad at Kevin. Kate got mad at Kevin and Toby, and she went back to her audition, and she tried to sing this song, and I didn't think it sounded good, so I wasn't sure how I was supposed to feel about it. So I was like, is she supposed to be good or not good? Which was kind of cool the way the show did, because I was like, that doesn't sound that great. And they're like, no, thank you. And she goes off, tells them that they're not going to push her to the back and let a less talented singer get her job because they're skinny. And he was like, look, you just ain't good.
No, yes, he's like, he calls up one of the backup singers to sing the line, and he's like, all right, now you heard her, she's a backup singer, and you can't essentially be her backup singer. Like, you need to go hit the karaoke bar a little bit harder. But
So,
can we go back? Let me go back for a minute, because I am here for Toby. I really had issues. He kind of grew on me in the first season, but he pulled up on Kevin, was like, look, dude, I know that this is your sister and y'all got that twin triplet thing, whatever it is that y'all got, but I am her man. You ain't fitting to be like keep paying for stuff and emasculating me. You're not gonna be like cutting me off with my woman and all of this kind of carrying on. And I really appreciated that, because I know that they have a special relationship, Kevin and Kate, but Kevin is just always where he ain't supposed to be or wanted or whatever, which of course I think needs to be unpacked. I mean, his storyline needs to be developed where he isn't just a D-bag, but understanding why he is, because I think that he is just always searching for where it is that he's supposed to be, because Kate was at least the girl of the trio, and Randall was, adopted, slam dunk, and black. Like, check. So, poor little Kevin was just out there on his lonesome. And even though they're supposed to be triplets, he kind of has this middle child thing that he's kind of wrestling with. Like, he's not the oldest, he's not the youngest, he's not special, blah, 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 blah. Now, I could go off on a whole nother tangent.
No.
About,
no.
The white boy.
So first of all, Kevin is white, male, handsome, rich, apparently now. What does he have to complain about, for real? Like, nothing.
Well, that's what I said, that I also think that he also kind of represents this, like,
what, mad men?
I'm a sad white guy who is unhappy because I'm not special. Nobody told me I was special.
Kevin needs to just get a life, be white, and prosper. That's all he needs to do. I don't even like talking about Kevin, because his storyline is so non-existent and boring and mayonnaise. So anyway.
Well, I will say this before we move off of Kevin, because clearly we're not going to talk about him very long. And we can at least get back to Kate, because I have some commentary there. But I didn't rank Kevin at the bottom, because I see Kevin's issues as being adoption related. Not completely. I think he's a bit of a narcissistic douche, but I think that some of his issues are he really has he has languished and wondered why no one told him he was special compared to his siblings and blah, blah, blah. And I do think that I think that he has some adoption related issues that probably weren't addressed, recognized, or dealt with by Jack and Rebecca. I'm not blaming them, but because we know, I mean, it's easy to kind of look back during the so far away 80s or whatever it is these people were born, as like the adoption dark ages based on through the lenses of what we know about adoption now. But you know, I am hopeful that there will be some kind of decent storyline that eventually pieces out some of his stuff. Now, this is an audio podcast, so you guys cannot see Mimi giving me the stink eye.
Because I just refuse to allow Kevin's narcissism to be attached to adoption related issues. I mean, he has a sibling issue with he just has a I'm not special issue. It's just nothing special about you. You just average in general. You know, you're not a great actor. You're not a great friend. You're not a great person. You're not funny. I mean, the best you are handsome. So, I mean, like you said, nobody told you you're special, but who told you you needed to be? You know, where did the entitlement come from that you're supposed to be special? Anyway, so
there's Kevin. So back to Kate.
I'm sorry, I'm just not feeling you, Kevin.
So back to Kate. I could just, of course we live tweeted and I was just like, oh Lord, they just, a Prince song, she better, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Now, I don't think she was awful if you was at the karaoke club.
Exactly.
But it struck me as, now, with the time jumps and everything, and this being a TV show, sometimes it's really hard to tell exactly how much time has elapsed.
2 weeks lapsed between.
And I'm just like, okay, just because your mama was a singer, I'm not understanding where all of this singing privilege to come from. You didn't got an audition. Did your brother hook you up? Okay, so we have to invoke Kevin's name. He probably pulled a string or something for her to get an audition.
Possibly, yes,
and
probably.
She just rolls
I think
up
it was
in
an
there.
open call. It was an open call.
Okay, so he didn't even pull a string. So she just rolls up in there like, that's right, I can blow.
Exactly.
Stand back. And
I'm waiting for her to blow too. So
and apparently we're still waiting. And apparently,
you better get up there and
gonna go in there, and she thinks that she's gonna go in there and just sing and just nail it and have Aunt Riri Patti LaBelle moment. And then when she doesn't, because you're right, I mean, she was all right for the karaoke club, but for an audition, girl, bye. And so then she's like, you don't like me because I'm not, because I'm fat. And he's like, no, I don't like you because you can't sing. And so
it was a good speech at the wrong time. Go ahead and pick her face right on up out the floor and back on out the room.
But in our Twitter conversation last night, you raised this issue of when you are a part of a marginalized group, whatever that marginalized group is, it does undermine whatever confidence you may have. So it does make you second guess criticism that you get, right? Like, right. Is this criticism legitimately about my competency or about like what you think of what you see? Now, this was legit.
Your competency.
Competency.
But isn't it bad to carry around that stress all the time? Because actually that's the reason why she did not go the first time, because she was just like, I already know that I'm behind, like 5 steps behind all these other girls because I don't even look like them. So right. That's a lot of baggage to carry around with you.
Right. And so it is. And I mean, there's a lot of emotional just labor that you have when you are walking through the world knowing that people see you in a negative, potentially a negative way, and you are constantly having to find ways of compensating for that or just wrestling with it, right? And so, of course, the way that she did it, she rolled up in there thinking like, oh, that's right, I'm gonna blow. I mean, it was like It was like the first couple of episodes of American Idol when they show all of the bad people, but they just know they can blow, right?
Mm-hmm. She did. I expected her to blow too, and I think what was funny to me was that I think the audience, like me, were not sure if it was good or not. So even we were feeling a little guilty, like, I don't think she sounds good, but I'm not sure how I'm supposed to be thinking.
Right.
So anyway, while she's out at her audition, Kevin and Toby are clearing the air. And so, Kevin explains to Toby, like, look, that's my girl. I mean, we've been together from the beginning, and he knows that he's not good as an actor and he's not good at a lot of things, but he's good as a brother. And he's not ready to give that up. And Tommy's like, yeah, that's cool. I get it, but you're going to have to work on it.
Stand down.
Yes. And so, what I really like about the scene is when Kate came out, she wasn't crying or upset. She was just like, yeah, I wasn't good enough. So I guess I'm gonna have to practice. And I appreciate that she took that criticism and feedback. But I think it was apparent to her too when Amber started singing. She was like, oh.
Yeah, she got her life together on that short walk to the parking lot.
Exactly.
Like, oh, maybe I need to rethink this. But where do her and Toby end up?
Back at the karaoke spot. I mean, just because you love to sing don't mean that you should be singing. So
outside of your shower.
Exactly. So
right. So all right. So that's Kate, Toby. Oh, one last thing. Well, yes, Kevin tells Toby that he's really good at being a brother. What he doesn't say is he's really good at being a brother to only Kate.
Oh, can we talk about this? Okay. All three of them have the same birthdays. And Randall doesn't call Kate and Kevin and Kevin and Kate. I mean, we never see any interaction between them. Isn't that weird?
It is weird. It is. I don't think Kevin really likes Randall all that much, despite the fact that he lived in his basement for a year, which Beth is still salty about.
It's just weird. They don't seem to have the relationship that I expect them to have for people who have grown up together for 30-something years, Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure that'll come up in this Rebecca and Jack story. When we start the Rebecca and Jack story, Rebecca's picking up the kids at the house from Miguel's. I think. Is that where she's picking them up from?
I don't know, but Miguel is just super shady to me.
Yeah, we're going to get back to Miguel. Rebecca takes the kids to a diner where Jack is sitting, and they kind of like break the news that mom and daddy had a fight and we're just going to stay apart for a little bit. And the kids get all mad and run out the diner. Yep. But the cool thing is when Jack wants to talk to Rebecca and Rebecca's like, I'm not ready, but you can tell in their dialogue that she still loves him. Like she's mad at him, but there's still love there. Could you feel that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So Jack is back at the house with Miguel, explaining to Miguel about Rebecca, and Miguel doesn't give him a good positive response. And somebody wrote on Twitter yesterday that Miguel is getting all the intel on their relationship and then he's going to take his woman.
Slide up in there.
You can tell that Miguel kind of thinks that Jack is not the best for Rebecca. Because why else would he say,
Well, I mean, we saw in last season that he covets Rebecca. He has told Jack on more than one occasion, dude, you are messing up. You are slipping. You need to get your life together. Because she is fun and awesome and like perfect. So, if you won't, another dude will.
Hint. So Rebecca takes the kids to a Tom Hanks movie. In the 80s, was Tom Hanks like all that? Was he the finest of the five? In what movie? I don't remember everybody be like, ooh, Tom Hanks is so sexy.
We were kind of young then, so he wasn't probably, and he also wasn't particularly popular in our demographic. For our listeners, there was an eyebrow raise there.
I'm just saying. People, wait a minute. Let's not act like they're like when Brad Pitt came on the scene in our demographic, people like Brad Pitt. But that's what I'm saying.
Brad Pitt and Tom Hanks are so not in the same category.
Exactly. That's why I'm trying to understand why Rebecca is like, ooh, Tom Hanks. Because I'm like, nobody was like, ooh, Tom Hanks. I mean, it's like Tom Hanks is a really good actor. But
yeah, and he was attractive in the, hey, he's a safe guy. We'll make a nice life together. You know, versus like Brad Pitt coming on the scene, like what was it, the vampire movie? Like, I want him to bite me.
Oh my Lord.
I want him to bite me. And oh, by the way, like what was that, Thelma and Louise? Like, I tapped that. Like it's totally different categories. It's totally different categories.
I'm just saying, well, Rebecca, Tom Hanks is her Brad Pitt because she need to be really into this. So she takes him to a Tom Hanks movie. Obviously, it's awkward with the kids. And okay, so this is weird. So Randall is watching his mom. We see a reveal that he saw Rebecca and Jack arguing. He knows what they're arguing about. And he offers some candy to Rebecca. And then Kevin says to Kate, they're all sitting in the movie theater, I guess Randall is about to make his move. And Kate doesn't find that amusing. And neither did I. I was like, what?
Ew.
Let's break this down for people who didn't see it and missed it because it was real subtle, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was.
So Randall offers his candy to his mother, and his brother, adopted brother, but his brother says, I guess Randall is about to make his move, like he's about to make his move on his mom. So the only way you would say that is if you don't see Randall as your brother, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Did they mean to put that into the show, or am I like not understanding?
I don't know.
What happened?
All I know is that I was telling somebody yesterday. Every now and again, I allow myself to go down the Twitter rabbit hole on the other end of the belief spectrum that I am on, and that is some stuff that you see on the super cuckoo crazy supremacist side of
what I just said.
Yes, like I mean, like this whole idea that not only is he not their brother, but that it would be that this insinuation would be such that he would be making a move on Rebecca. Like, yeah, that's just some freak nasty stuff that you see on the wrong side of Twitter.
It was such a weird statement and for him to make.
And Reddit. And so those are my code words for folks that are not picking up what I was putting down on Twitter.
So, I mean, so when you think about that, then you understand what the distance is between Kevin and Randall. But I don't know if other people saw that or understood it the way that I understood. I was like, that is such a weird. And I couldn't figure out if it had racist undertones to it too. Like, because he was a black man, a black boy, he would be trying to make moves on his adoptive mother.
Yeah, I'm not going to be subtle. Yes. Yes, that's exactly what you were. Yeah, that right there.
So we're going to put a pin in that because to actually think that's some really deep stuff if they are actually uncovering that in this show. So anyway, moving on. Jack goes back to the bar. He tries to pay the bar owner to let Rebecca sing, which is ridiculous. And
he's feeling bad and guilty.
Rebecca goes to Miguel to get Jack. She missed her husband. I don't even think, did they make it one whole night?
It doesn't seem like it.
Yeah. And so Rebecca's like, you are my dude, we can't do this. We need to figure it out together. And Jack is like, look, you don't really understand. I'm actually drunk right now. I've been drunk for weeks, months probably, and I've been hiding it from you. I have a problem for real. And Rebecca's like, yeah, but if you have a problem, we're gonna fix it together. And I was like, Ooh.
No. I mean, it's the great American, like, love, blah, 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 stand by your man, like, ride or die. But we talk about this on Twitter as well. And, I mean, I was in a situation years ago where I was partnered with somebody who he had, problems with alcohol. And not all alcoholics are fall down drunk. Most of them are actually very functional and keeping it together, but that doesn't mean that their life will not wreck yours, right? And so for him to hit the place where he was like, I love you. Yes, I am your person. You are my person, but I need to work this out.
I appreciated that.
It was a really, really important scene. I love the fact that she was like, well, you can do that at home. But that was where the disconnect was. Because sometimes when that person has hit that place and says, I need to take a step away,
you should let them.
Then you might need to let them. You might need to let them.
People were swooning about that. And I get it because it sounds, like you said, like so romantic. But in actuality, it just doesn't seem like it's going to work out for the best. And clearly it doesn't. But
it's called codependency.
well, let's look at this. I mean, seriously, Rebecca right now is a housewife. She has 3 teenage kids. So she obviously hasn't actually worked outside of the home since I don't know when. I don't even know what she was doing before they got married. So for her, I mean, there's not a lot of options she even has. And this is like what, the 80s? She's, she's still.
And he didn't wreck her singing career.
Exactly. Fledgling as it was. But, she doesn't have a lot of options necessarily either. At least to her, probably the way she looked at it. So,
yeah.
So they drive off.
It's sad. He goes home.
I guess.
We don't
know.
We don't know yet. We don't know.
Okay. So we'll find out next week. So let's get on to Randall and Beth, our favorite storyline. Yeah. It's the Randall and Beth show. Okay, so.
All right, where are we going to start?
Let's start at the beginning when Randall is holding up an Asian baby. And I was like, who baby is that? Who this? Who this, Harpo? I was like, did they adopt an Asian baby? What happened? And, he's like Google guy. He has baby fever bad. And finally, the nice Asian couple was like, could you please give us our baby back? And you know what's strange about this? Black people, we don't like other people, random people picking up our babies. So, that's how Randall, where Randall grew up. Because you can't just come up and pick up some black baby's kid and be doing all that.
Right. Can you imagine?
No.
Beth letting somebody just randomly pick up one of them girls?
Yeah.
No.
Ridiculous. Okay, right. So anyway, but Randall runs off and we get a nice look at the backside.
Hello.
You just said hello to Randall's bottom?
I did.
Okay. Moving on.
That was a highlight of my first 10 minutes of the show. I don't know, maybe not yours, but I was,
Well, to me, it was kind of, honestly, it was a little too far away. I felt like they kind of teased us.
Whatever, slow-mo.
And didn't please us. So anyway, Randall's at home, back at home, giving the fridge kids freshly squeezed orange juice and waffles. And I'm feeling some kind of way because I'm a stay-at-home mom too. And Melanie, my daughter, does not get freshly squeezed anything and waffles before school. So the girls' hair is popping. They have the natural wash and goes, which I'm also wondering, does Randall do hair? What do you think?
Because we don't know what Beth does. She is an international lady of leisure.
Yes, she is something. I think they have a black nanny that is behind the scenes.
Invisible.
Invisible black nanny. Who was doing their hair in the morning? Somebody was moisturizing and co-washing and doing all kind of twisting. Anyway, the youngest one, Annie, but Annie asks why mommy goes to work now and stays home and is the girl. And he responds, which is really cool, that it's upsetting to him that she would say that, and it's normal for dads to stay at home and moms to work, and that women can do anything. And look at Hillary Clinton.
She shaded her so hard.
And the oldest one, what's the oldest one's name? Do you know? Anyway, she said, she was like, basically, I don't think you should use Hillary as a good example since she lost. And so Beth comes down. He's like, yeah, but she almost won, and tells him to be quiet. Beth come down, and he refers to the girl as Stacey Dash and Amarosa, which I like. First of all, it's corny. It's very corny. So I don't know if Beth got it.
DC. It was so not corny. That was like an awesome DC line.
But that's what. So the thing is, I'm like, did everybody catch that? Because honestly, I didn't catch it until I watched it the second time. So I don't know if anybody. So if you did catch it, you can tweet us or write us on Facebook and tell us what you think that he meant by calling them that. What do you think? You think most people got it, or was it we just slow in the flyover states, or what?
I don't know, but it was a right on time DC political nerd joke.
It was corny. So
it was awesome, especially as the follow up to
yes,
the dragging that she gave Hillary.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. See, you just told it. Never mind.
It was great.
So
tweet us.
Yeah, still tweet us. So Beth, he asked Beth if he's happy. And he asked Beth if she's ready for their afternoon appointment. And she says, yeah, but she doesn't look too excited. He's like, it's the best birthday ever. And she's like, whatever, bye. And walks off. Where is Beth going? Where's Beth? Clearly Beth has a job now, but we still don't know what Beth does.
I bet you her office is nice and comfortable.
Beth is a consultant, and you can do anything and be a consultant. How much you want to bet? When we find out what Beth does, she's a consultant. What kind of consultant? Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. She's a consultant.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So Beth and Randall are meeting at a private adoption agency, which was interesting because they are doing domestic infant adoption. So the agency explains that they'll be paired up with an expectant mother who's already committed to put her newborn up for adoption. So I highlighted that because I was like, is that the terminology? What do you think? A mother who is already committed to put her newborn up for adoption. Is that the way they describe it? Because that sounds pretty certain. That's a red flag to me. Mm-hmm. Because
you never consider an expectant mom to have committed to anything but actually pushing the baby out of her JJ.
Exactly. Exactly. But I thought it was interesting, which that's how she kind of told Beth and Randall that they've already committed to that. So, and I think that's in general how people see adoption is expecting mothers have committed to putting their kid up for adoption. So anyway, Randall thinks it's perfect since it was a newborn when his parents found him. Beth, unamused. Beth does not want to be there. Her body language is to the left. Her head is cocked to the side. Her eyes are rolling up in her head. She just, everything about her. She's breathing through her nose. Like, what?
Right.
Beth does not want to be there. So, okay. Another weird thing that I saw is the worker says that they're going to really go through all their paperwork and all their background. And she said they're going to really get up in there. And Randall says, get up in there. That's what she says. Like a that's what she said joke. Is that weird? I know I'm like getting into the minute details, but I have always said that I feel like Randall has these weird social tics. And we've talked about that some adoptees often are all on the spectrum and have like some of these things that show up. And what were you saying about that?
Yeah. So, my limited experience with kids that I interact with through our agency, we have a lot of things that we do together, and we also Hope and I socialize with other families, And one of the things that I always see in common with our kids is this social awkwardness. And it's not even like they think that they're awkward, but the rest of us see that they are awkward. Like, jokes are weird, social cues are missed, you know. And so in some of the other you know, social networking support groups that I'm a part of, this seems to also be something fairly common with other adoptees as well, particularly, at least in my case, with older child adoption. So, you know, I don't know if that's a common thing with infant adoption, but
I just noticed it. He has these social awkward moments. And the other thing that the reason why how it stuck out to me was because when you go and sit with an adoption worker, even no matter what type of adoption you're doing, you want to be on your best behavior. Like, you don't know who is the decision maker, because the adoption process is such a black box. So you don't know if everybody you meet is making notes about what you're doing and who you are and what type of people you are. So for him to make like this joke, you know, it was just like a weird thing to. Why would you make a sex joke when you're meeting with the adoption worker? So I mean, he's socially off. Like, that's weird.
So keep in mind that he is in a time in his life where he is not working. Why? Because he had a major emotional meltdown. He could be on happy pills.
Could be because nobody else seemed to notice this joke that he made. They just kept talking. Beth did not.
I think that Beth is just like, I am is on a whole nother level of irritated with you right now, so I'm just gonna let that one slide.
So they continue on. So Beth kind of goes off in the meeting, you know, and she walks off, and it was real awkward. The way she went off and asked if the social worker had kids that were left at the fire station, and it was just like so out of character for what we have seen from Beth. It's very passive aggressive.
Yeah. Yes.
So Beth, go ahead.
Beth has some issues as we start this season. Like, we don't see her. We see a different side of her, and I think that, excuse me, I think that she is feeling a lot of stress. She is trying to be that rock that everybody's relying on, because at the time, she, I guess, they've just finally got Kevin out the basement.
Grandpa, and she's now working.
Right, she's working. Grandpa is still alive, but we know that he's about to check out because he dies at the end of last season. And her husband has lost his job after he kind of lost his mind. So,
yeah,
you know, and now he's like, hey, babe, let's
she's Beth is not the same person that we saw in season 1. So we see it, right? So Beth is out fake smoking, which is cute because Randall comes out and says, are you fake smoking? And she says yes. And he takes her fake cigarette and takes a fake drag on it, which is only like 2 people really in love. And on top of that, if I was really mad, you can't even have my fake cigarette. So that's what they are really, really, truly in love, but they are mad at each other. And they finally get to the real conversation, and Randall asks her, do you really want to adopt? And Beth is like, you haven't asked me anything. Like, for the past year, you didn't ask me. Basically, she doesn't say this to him, but we do see that she has been kind of holding in all these feelings about, you haven't asked me if your dad could move in. You can ask me if Kevin could come live in our basement. You haven't asked me if I wanted to adopt. You just said these are the things that you wanted to do, and I just had to roll with it. And that's it. She's like, I'm done with this decision. But here, check this out. So Randall says, look, I want to adopt, and you just gonna have to wrap your head around it. And Beth gives him this look. Did you go back and look at that look? Yes. She cusses him out with her eyes open. I mean, she doesn't even say anything. She just like looks at him, and he should have been shaking in his boots. Like, he should have been like, you know what, never, I just playing. I just playing. Because she looks so mad at him, and she just walks off. And so
I'm not fighting with you in this adoption parking lot.
I know that's right. She's like, look, if we were in a grocery store parking lot, maybe, but Not the
But them
adoption.
people might be, if I change my mind on this adoption thing, you might be looking at the
See, um, you talked about the flashback. So Beth is working. She's doing some kind of work when Randall comes home. Oh no, I missed it. I missed a part. Randall goes and talks to his mom. You want to talk about that?
So Randall goes to talk to his mom about this adoption thing and how, he's kind of feeling some kind of way that Beth is not just immediately on board. And Rebecca begins to share a bit of his, I guess, origin story with him about, how they came to adopt him, and that she really wasn't on board. This was Jack's idea. Jack was like, oh, look, we lost a baby and there's a baby. Isn't this great?
I'm sorry, this still bothers me about the whole premise of the story, that you could be in the middle of grief for this is not like a 6 weeks baby. This is a full term baby, right. That you could just be like, yeah, and we can just get this other baby instead. I'm still, that's suspended disbelief for me.
Well, with the doctor, the OBGYN, and with Jack, I just was like, this is just, we are just going to mansplain this like adoption situation right on until it makes it work. Like, hey, we lost a baby. We got a baby. And now we have triplets again. Look, yay, math, right? And so, and Rebecca tries to explain to Randall that Jack had this vision that she didn't share about including him in the family at first. And but she says, she insinuates, well, Jack was right. Like, of course you're a part of our family. Of course you're my son. I love you. I was right. But, I need you to understand that you might need to back up off of Beth a bit, because you pushing this, you don't really seem to kind of maybe understand where she's coming from. And I was really empathetic to this part of the scene with Rebecca, because I can't imagine having carried 3 babies to term. I have given birth. I have lost one of my babies. I have nearly died. And this fool comes in here, almost I found a black baby for us to like round out that triplet sex.
Exactly.
Like, now that's love. And I have not yet had the benefit of having that experience in his lifetime, because I'm gonna tell you what, he might have ended up when I was back on my feet, he might have ended up on the hood of my car with me driving it, because it's just so outrageous a scenario to expect a new mom, first time mom, mom of multiples, lost one, all of these things, and it's like the day after all of this happened.
Exactly.
Like, he crazy.
The interesting part of this discussion that Randall was having with his mom was also the idea of this narrative that as soon as I saw you, I just knew that you were my son and you were meant to be in my family. And Randall pushes back on that. Like, are you, really? It happened just like that as soon as you saw me? And she explains that it's complicated. And I like that they are delving into the idea that adoption is not always just add water and stir. You don't always just see your child and immediately that's it. You guys are attached and that person is a part of your family. It is a growth process. And I think she was trying to be clear with him that it might not have happened immediately, but like a lot of things, relationships develop over time, and you're my son now.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's also important to note that what that attachment, that initial feeling looks like must be different for you and your partner, because Jack was there.
Right. That's true. Which
now the underpinnings of how he got there, like add water and stir, here's like 2 + 1 = 3, might be a bit different, but he was already there. He was like, yep, I'm in.
That's true. And so that links back to what the adoption counselor said too, is that And a lot of times, and you brought this up, so let's talk about this a little bit more. A lot of times, one spouse or one partner is the dragger, and the other one is
Mhm.
the dragee. So, what was interesting about Randall and Beth, and also even about Jack and Rebecca, is that the guy is the dragger, and
Yeah.
the woman is the dragee. And typically, at least my experience and what I've seen the most of on adoption forums and groups that we participate in is that it's mainly the women who are the ones who are moving the ball forward in terms of adoption.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you had some thoughts about what, so tell me what you were thinking about when for single people when they had that
Well,
discussion.
like I just thought it was interesting, and I was hoping that people, and certainly a few adoptees, weighed in and said, "Hey, if somebody is not on board, y'all shouldn't be doing this." Like, and I really appreciated that perspective. As a single person, I don't have to consult with anybody.
That is
Like, I just went out and did what I was gonna do. Like, and so this idea of having to negotiate the, child bearing child, either bearing or adopting or fostering, or however a child comes into your life, having to negotiate that with a partner. I mean, I don't have any experience in that, and so this portrayal of two couples, parallel, years apart, kind of struggling and wrestling with this idea of what does it mean to, when one person wants to parent and one person isn't so sure in the
but
moment.
that, I mean, that's interesting that people say, if both people aren't on board, then you shouldn't proceed. But I don't even know if even in biological child, everybody is going to be like at the same percentage of on boardness, even
Well,
with
considering that, like, what, half of all pregnancies are unplanned, we can we can be pretty certain
right.
that a substantial portion of those folks are like, oh, okay,
But
what do we do now?
I think there is a fine balance between dragging someone along versus giving them a push. And I say that from the perspective of a person, a couple who, we're looking at adoption for our, a way to build our family. And of course, I was the person that was moving faster than my husband. I wouldn't say that he was being dragged, but he definitely was not the engine
Right.
of the situation. And so, but when you look at the situation now, that's his girl, so
Right.
I don't know how to. I think each couple is going to have to come to that decision for themselves about what that looks like what level of uncertainty you're okay with.
Yeah. Well, and I think that you also have to understand what the root issue is as well, right? So I think that Jack's initial reaction is that this is how he was coping with his own grief.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Whereas this is probably not how Rebecca would have coped with her
Exactly.
grief,
Exactly.
right? And Beth's issue wasn't really about adoption. Beth had reached a breaking point where she's like, look, I am rocking with you all the way, and I have put up with a lot of your crap this last year. You done brought all these people in my house, which is,
Mm-hmm.
I've tweeted about that too, is that there's this whole idea where she kind of puts forward, she's like, you just keep like collecting these people and bringing them home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like, oh, so now we just go collect another person, and then like that person's gonna stay, like, and we're not gonna talk about it.
Well, what's interesting is that when she was with William, I felt like she felt free enough to show that side of herself.
Well,
And
that's her smoke buddy.
I guess that's being a good wife, I'm not going to burden you with my feelings about the situation. But that was an awful lot for her to bear. Like their whole lives had turned upside down in the course of a year. And now you want to add on another child to it. We need to hold up for a minute.
Right.
Like,
Right.
can we get our breath? I just started going back to work. I used to take baths in the middle of the day, you know? now you want to bring another child into the situation.
Right. I mean, I used to sit there and mind my own business in my bathroom while you fix breakfast for them kids.
Eating yogurt
and did their hair.
Right. So I'm just like, I think we need to back up off Beth a little bit and allow her some breathing room. So anyway.
Well, the other thing is that it doesn't seem, not only did he not really discuss it with her, if he didn't discuss that with her, then there has been no discussion also about how this would affect their two existing children.
Well, they said that in the adoption counselor that they hadn't talked to the children about it. And so I'm like, y'all haven't even broached it to kind of
like, why are y'all in there?
Put some feelers out.
Like, y'all just making appointments? Like,
exactly.
Okay.
So interestingly, so let's wrap up Beth and Randall's story. So they had this discussion. Randall talks to Beth and he gives this beautiful speech about they have a perfect marriage. Finally, he has always been chasing perfection, but and he fails, and then there's a whole bunch of things that go along with that self-doubt and self-loathing that kind of led to his breakdown. But with Beth, he doesn't see that. They are perfectly imperfect, and if she is not on board with his plan, then he's going to figure out some other way to fulfill this need that he has. And it's really cute and beautiful and awesome, but she basically cuts him off and like, well, let me show you someplace. She gets on this really beautiful bound journal of his father's poems, and she tells him that that's William's favorite spot, and that she's been trying to kind of maybe fellowship with William spiritually and kind of figure out how to give Randall what he wants. And she decides that if they're going to adopt a child and uproot their imperfectly perfect life, she wants to do an older child. So what did you think about that since you adopted an older child?
Get closer to the mic. So I am, well, like, first of all, I didn't think that I could love Beth anymore, but I was like, what? We are going to do an older child adoption storyline? I am all the way here for it. Get it right.
I'm excited about it, actually, because
I'm so excited.
Typically, when we talk about adoption on television, we are talking about domestic infant adoption, or if you bring, taking a foster child, they have some kind of weird bad kid story attached to them. So I'm interested in how they're going to play this out.
Well, the other narrative is that, it's this always a transracial story. And of course we have that embedded as, the bedrock story for This Is Us. But to see a family of color considering, older child adoption, presumably of a child of color, I'm here for it. I'm like, come on, like, bring it to the screen, baby.
Well,
let's see it.
But just a family of a color. Well, just a family of a color adopting a child. Like, yes. How often do we hear? And we hear so many myths about people of color don't adopt. So I'm kind of happy to get this narrative changing. That's awesome.
Yes. So, but of course, like, when she breaks that part down, then they're like, like in the hood watching some teenage boys play basketball, and she's kind of pointing like, this is if we're gonna do this is how we're gonna do it. It's gonna be like, we're gonna do an older child that really needs us and blah blah blah. And so I do have a little bit of a pause in terms of the visual kind of piece of this. Like, okay, yes, we're gonna go get this deeply troubled, teenager. And there was a lot of chatter when I put our summary of our tweets up today on a few boards about, well, have we considered birth order, and an older teenage boy, and they have like these little girls in the house, and what does that all mean, and how is that going to work out? And so I have, I got a little reservations there about how they navigate that. Of course, the definition for older child is pretty broad when in the adoption world. Like, pretty much anybody above a toddler is considered an older child in adoption.
Mhm.
But I do think, at least visually, the implication for her was that she means much older. So,
Right. And when you talk about also the implication, the whole, when you talk about the visual of this being a park in a poor neighborhood, she even says it's not so white. And that these boys are, I think they were sitting on a park bench. They had like some liquor in a bottle or something like that. That this is the, I guess, element that they're choosing from. When you really think about it, that kind of wasn't cool, because again, it gives the impression that the children are doing something wrong to be older children needing adoption versus their parents being in a situation where they couldn't care for them anymore. So,
right.
So that's
now, I mean, yeah, so it's kind of messed up, but okay. I mean, and there's like the cool thing about this show is that there's not even like more than one side to the story. There's like 15 sides to the story.
True.
Take us in directions that we don't anticipate. The very cool thing is that this may be a way for Randall to really kind of learn more about his birth family, his father's family, because keep in mind, like, kind of visually what she plucked out was really kind of the tableau that he was born from.
Yes, true. Okay.
And so so maybe there will be some circle back there. I am here for it. I was like, look at that.
I'm excited
She is
about
amazing. Yes, but I have to say, we gotta say before we wrap up that part, like there were all kinds of prayers like about like, oh my God, Randall and Beth are having a fight. I rebuke this in the name of Jesus. Like, this cannot happen.
Exactly.
You cannot give us beautiful black love on TV and then take that mess from us. So note to the showrunners, you got to keep it tight and keep it right.
I mean, I have all kinds of things to say about Randall and Beth's relationship. We honestly, we could just do a podcast just about their storyline. Right. But even the argument that they had, he didn't have to come in and say, you know what, I'm sorry, for all these things that I said and I was acting too. He didn't have to say it in that way for her to understand what he meant in his heart and to drop it. Like, I don't have to now go back and tell you that I know I'm right. They were able to have this conversation. And just the fact that Randall is a talking black man, like, I have feelings. Yes. And I know how to express them. I use my words. I just I'm like swoon. So just that.
And he runs. Like, I'm telling you.
Randall has a nice body, y'all. So anyway, moving on, let's go ahead and wrap. So to the end, so Kevin leaves. So the end typically is a montage of what all the storylines are doing. So Kevin leaves Kate and Toby to finish their birthday celebration. They go back and do karaoke. But when Kevin walks out of the audition hall, Sophia is there waiting for him. Sophia is his before fiance, who they got back together, and such a snore. But how did I had a note that said, how did she know where he was? I guess it was TV magic. Because I'm like, wait a minute, didn't she miss her flight, or she couldn't take her flight? Who cares?
Yep.
Sophia's there. Toby and Kate, okay, we already talked about them. Beth and Randall are looking at children on an adoption website, and then we get the foreshadowing on how Jack died. So because we see a burnt house and Rebecca driving past it with what looks like Jack's personal effects. So what do you think is going to happen on the next episode?
I'm not even going to take a stab at predicting, because the show, like, I can't predict. I don't know. I think that we'll find a little bit more about Jack. And like, I guess how far rock bottom he hits.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Like how
And
it affects the
apparently
kids.
it'll be like 8 months later, and apparently like there'll be like, I don't know, a teenager living with Beth and Randall.
I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do that. So that'll be interesting. So I am interested to see how that storyline plays out. I really would like them to talk more about this relationship between Kevin and Kate and Randall. Like we see them at different points in their lives, but we don't really know. It's just not clear to me that they like each other and or love each other. Like, how could you go for a whole episode and they didn't even like do a kind of at least a callback? Like, hey, I
Right.
talked to Kevin this morning or something, you know?
Well, it's like we're watching two shows about. It's like we're watching one show about two families, and there's
Yeah.
like, Rebecca is the bridge between the two, but like they're not really one cohesive family.
Right. I'm like, the kids don't want to say happy birthday to their aunt and uncle. Like, it just is a very strange way how they interact with each other. So I like to see more about that, especially that little thing with Kevin and his, Randall and Rebecca. Like,
Yeah.
gross. Um,
Yeah.
anything else you want to see?
I hope that we get to see more adoption professionals of color.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to Michelle. Like she on Facebook, she noted like that the numbers of people of color who are adoption attorneys in the U.S. are as like ridiculously small. So I commented that Beth seems like the type of chick that was like, "Oh no, we going to."
If we're gonna do this, we are
If
gonna
we're gonna
have
do this, no. She's like, no, we're gonna go with somebody that looks like us.
Wait a minute, did she look like them? I thought she was a dark Asian lady.
Well, not look like them. Okay.
Okay.
So, but I think that like at least a
I just
POC,
want to
like we're
make
gonna have
sure.
to like there's like apparently there's only like 6 to choose from in the United States. So like you get what you get.
I just want to make sure. I was like, man, I could
There's
have
only
made a
six,
wrong
there's
assumption.
apparently like only 6 people of color who are adopted into so
Exactly.
that's the one that's based in New York.
I'm sorry if I made. I don't know. Like, I don't know what her ethnicity was, actually.
So anyway, there's lots and lots of questions that our fans raised on social media, about the distance and among the siblings, how Randall in some ways is actually more like his adoptive parents than the bio kids are like their parents. And how does this whole leisurely morning thing happen? We don't know. They're magic. So yeah, I mean, it's just I'm excited about the season.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's been our recap of This Is Us Season 2, Episode 1. We are trying to live tweet during the episode. You can follow us at AWAS Pod, but we also have our own Twitters that we also tweet from, which is for you.
I am at Adoptive Black Mom on Twitter.
And your website is?
It's late. My website is www.adoptiveblackmom.com. And I still post regularly.
Okay. We call that dry snitching over here. Okay, so and you can find my Twitter at Mimi Complex. And I do have a blog in which I do not post regularly or at all, but you can read the back episodes at MimiRobinsonOnline.com. So right before we go, you want to do like a little 2-minute wrap up of what you've been doing in the last 6 months?
Can you say that again, because you drag?
Oh, so right before we go, want to do a real quick wrap up of what you've been doing since we stopped podcasting?
Yeah, sure. So Hope is now in 11th grade, and this apparently, unbeknownst to me, is like the hardest grade because it really is a big transition in high school in many ways, especially academically. So it's a lot harder. So we are there's crying and gnashing of teeth and all kinds of things that I'm writing about these days. Really, really busy at work doing some other writing. I've got a couple of pieces coming out on some other folks' blogs. Thanks for some great opportunities coming my way. But yeah, and the latest thing is I may, if you are in the DMV, the DC, Northern Virginia, Maryland area, I may actually host a meetup soon.
All right. That's awesome.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Well, let's see.
What's up with you?
Nana is in kindergarten and she is learning Mandarin. And so she comes home every day and tries to teach me Mandarin, of which I am not interested in learning. So there's constant conflict. Besides that, the hubby is doing well. And I'm still having fun being a stay-at-home mom that doesn't really have to do mom stuff because her kid is at school. So I'm really just a person who doesn't have a job, and I'm loving it. I have a lot of little projects that I'm working on, including doing stuff for PTO and co-working.
A lot.
Yeah, I have a few things.
She is moving and shaking. She is moving and shaking things all over her cité. Oh, and I guess we haven't podcast since Mimi and I did our first presentation together.
Sure did. It was awesome.
This summer in Kansas City, and that was so much fun. And we talked about sisterhood. We talked about finding your village and creating your village, both online and on ground. It was awesome. We got rave reviews because we
rock.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
and
yeah,
currently have foster care paperwork on my desk to fill out, and as we may be starting a journey to add to our family, so yay for that too.
I'm so excited. I get to be Auntie ABM again. Meanwhile,
I
am counting. It's so funny because I will say this. I'm counting, the days to graduation for Hope. Although this is a source of a lot of anxiety because she's so she seems to think I'm going to put her out on the curb with all her stuff the day after graduation. So I'm constantly having to reassure her that that's not going to happen, that this is just another achievement in life, but that I'm still going to be here. She's going to still live here with me, her, and Yappy is still going to be who and what we are. And, it's just taking it to the next level. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if she has visions that she's going to have a box and a cup. I don't know what's going on.
Poor baby. But
I'm no.
That is a big stepping stone. What's going to happen?
It is.
So, as it gets a little bit closer and she has more certainty about what the next step looks like, maybe that anxiety will die down a little bit.
Yep.
Hopefully.
So that's what we've been up to.
Yeah. So anyway, be sure to visit our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter, and be sure to subscribe to us on Stitcher or iTunes or wherever your favorite podcast app. And with that, we're going to let you go. So bye.
Bye.